Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the basement. Trying to think of what I was going to shoot today, and I realized I have three of John Dewar Sons, the Last Great Malts, and thought I better walk through those scotches before they're gone. So I'm going to talk to you today about some Highland Speyside Scotch. This will be Aberfeldy 12. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about the Aberfeldy 12, but we'll talk about that Highland malt when we get back. Talk to you about Aultmore. They're 12-year-old. That's a nice Speyside lighter scotch, and then we'll anchor it with Craigellachie 13. Now I know I've talked to you guys about Craigellachie 13, but I thought, well, why not put it in a lineup? It's 3 out of the 5, I think, that are part of the Last Great Malts. I don't have the Bracla, and I haven't had it, and neither have I had the Deveron. Both of those are priced a little bit high, but these are rather affordable. So if you've got any of these, or a Highland or a Speyside Scotch, why don't you pour it around, and when we come back, share some thoughts on the whiskey. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. Hope you poured something. And as I said, we're going to talk a little bit of Scotch. These are certainly part of the John Dewar family. Aberfeldy, of course, I think is the only one that family actually built way back in, I'm going to guess, 1897, 1800 and something. But Aberfeldy is certainly at the core of the John Dewar range. I really don't know if they use some Aultmore in their mix. They put a ton in their blend, like I don't know, 40 different varieties or something. Craigellachie, maybe it makes an entrance. I don't know, but the core or the heart of the Dewar blends, I definitely think of when I think of an Aberfeldy 12. Now, the challenge I have a little bit with Aberfeldy 12, it's very affordable in my market. It is, and it has a nice age stamp, 12 years old, but it's a 40%. It's got to be colored. It's got to be chill filtered dram, and as you know, that's kind of a tough thing to get at, but let's see what the whiskey itself, gives us when we nose and taste it. Very nice, sweet, lots of honey, lots of little bit of floral, so a little bit of heathered honey and some nice vanilla. Yeah, gentle, sweet, light caramel, but it's just pretty sweet on the nose, but not sweet like too much confectionery sugar or something that really puts me off. It's just pleasant. Let's try it on the palate. Sláinte. For a 40%er and all the wrong things, colored, chill filtered, kind of like this one. It's easy to drink. I get a little more of fruit in the palate. I even get a wisp of oak. I swear there's a hint of smoke. For all the wrong things that we look for in a label of Scotch, it's not bad. Tasty, cut apple, pear, as I said, wisp of oak, wisp of smoke, nicely balancing the very, very sweet nose. Finish is not long, and it kind of, the more I talk, can play into bitter and whatnot, but this really is a solid 3.5 stars, and for a 40%er, pretty good. Okay, moving from the sweet, a little bit oak, a little bit of smoke, but just a kind of a core profile here. Let's move over to the Aultmore. Now, the Aultmore here of the Foggy Moss, I love that. Is it also a 12-year-old? But this one, now they've done a few more things that I like to think is doing it right. It's natural color, it's non-chill filtered, and it's released, of course, at 46%. Well, I shouldn't say of course. You can do some of that credit lower down, but then you're really risking, that Scotch mist or just some clouding. But, 46%, natural color, non-chill filter, and in my market, this Edmonton, Alberta, it's still a fantastic price. Oddly, it's about the same price as the Aberfeldy 12. So let's see, moving from the Aberfeldy, what comes out here. A little more, sour nature to the fruits. Boy, Aberfeldy, if you haven't had Dewar's, you really will make the family connection here. A little bit of malt characteristic, a little bit of, yeah. Coming here to the Aultmore, there's a tartness. I've heard people talk about a seaside or a salt. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the edge of brininess to the fruit. Yeah, but it's actually not as floral or even as enveloping. The nose in Aberfeldy really wrapped me up with those sweet notes, whereas this is, I feel like I'm pinching my eyes. I'm trying to get in here. Let's try it on the palate. Sláinte. Oh, the 46, maybe the non-chill filter, but certainly the 46 helps it speak a little more volume. It fills up what's going on in my palate. I can smell it more while I'm sipping it. I can experience it more. It does hug more. It's got a little more pepper across the palate, whether that's ABV or a little more wood tannins. It's got a little more spicing. But it's not as relaxing. And some of the faults that sometimes speak, a little bit of that oaking that can edge into sour or bitter, a little bit of, that spicing, does it just feel a little aggressive and a little hug? So it's got a few more bumps going on, but it certainly is a bigger experience than the Aberfeldy. For me, surprisingly, considering it's 46 non-chill filtered natural color, sits at a very similar star rating, maybe 3.75. It's got to be I feel it's a more quality Scotch, but if I had both of these bottles on the shelf and they were going down, this might go down quicker because it's just so sweet and relaxing. Let's try the Craigellachie. Okay, now you've heard me talk about Craigellachie 13 before, and I have enjoyed more of this than either of these. So I like to. I've got more into how they dry their barley, that they use diesel fuel, and some of it, probably not all of it, but it's part of the experience, that they use worm tubs in the condensers, right? So creates a heavier product. And it's also the non-chill filtered natural color, age stamp 13 instead of 12, 46%. You can tell just the way I talk about it, that certainly my palate, it's always just my palate, kind of leans toward this space side as opposed to the other ones here. Well, this is a Highland, but this is a more complicated nose, right? This Craigellachie, I definitely have edges of phenols mixed in with, stewed apple pie. I wonder if I can get some of that. Oh, coming back to the Aultmore, I definitely get a little bit more of that. People have said that seaside, that briny, but there's a little bit of brining in that. This is staying more in those cooked stewed fruits, a little bit of that industrial note. Let's try it on the palate. Sláinte. This just adds. I was gonna say coal. That's not it. Whereas getting a wisp of just a bit of smoke nature, and here I'm talking about the brine nature. Here, I would say this is that edge of, like if it was peated, I'd be saying words like creosote or ash. That is not that strong in Craigellachie, but there's wisps and edges and hints and echoes, and the palate goes on much longer than either of these two. So that's the finish, sorry, but I find it more coating. The finish just, Here, I do get a bitter note, but now I like the bitter note. I can't explain exactly how that works, but I find it's about a lot of balance for me when I talk. If you hear me kind of complaining about bitter, it's because I feel like it hasn't been coated right, or it hasn't been backed by good oak, or it hasn't been complemented by sweet. It's just standing out there. Craigellachie for me gives me some of those notes. There is some notes that are like industrial, a little bit something, whatever, but they are wrapped in a coating. They've got that thicker apple, stewed, cooked apple, that helps me really enjoy them. Coming back to the Aultmore, I think I shared Certainly lighter and brighter than the Craigellachie. Lots of flavor, a bit aggressive in the palate. Anchoring back with Aberfeldy, now it's a little watery, it's a little soft. Coming from Aberfeldy into these malts, I kept thinking of the echoes and the flavors, and I was like, I still like this malt. Coming back to it, while gentle and relaxing, and certainly, you know, if you're a Glenlivet, Glenfiddich type Scotch drinker right now and you haven't had Aberfeldy, I recommend it. Nice, very honey sweetness, malt, light. If you're a seasoned Scotch drinker and you haven't had Aberfeldy, wait for a good sale. I think you'll find it's just not going to give you what either of these two bottles go for. Aultmore, this is solid. So let's go 3 3/4 kind of star range. You know, it certainly has more to offer here. It has a unique kind of salty bit of brine, not overly done. Don't think islands kind of thing. Just think, oh, there's a little bit of something. And then I know you hear me gush about this. Craigellachie is a 4-star for me. It has some industrial notes that may put you off, but I suggest are layered in really, really well. Like, thanks for joining me here. It's a cold winter day outside, but and again, I apologize. I still haven't built a good basement, but at least we have some good Scotch. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Hope you're having a great weekend.